animal mind. The animal mind. What do I mean, animal mind? It is what you use every day in thought. It has to do with stuff. It is necessary. 1 + 1 is 2. I think I got that right? Okay. In my old age, I'm starting to, maybe it's not. Maybe it's 2, maybe it's not, I don't know. Or, I want the blue one, or I want the red one. Oh, this, it is that mind. It is the mind that counts, and the mind that has learned symbols for numbers or stuff. Oh. It is a representation of the recognition of something. Something. It is the words written on a page. Your brain has 2 hemispheres. One is the representative of the page, the original, the original. The other is the representation of the animal world, the form world, the world of stuff. It is written upon the original page. But you have to think of that original page, that original consciousness, as an organic piece of paper whereby things appear. Where do they appear from? They just show up. You're sitting there, everything's a blank, and all of a sudden, something comes from somewhere. Something new comes from somewhere, if you are quiet. Oh, I didn't know that before. Spirit, that which we call spirit. Oh, how do I get this across? I understand it. How do I talk about it? I have to quantify it, right? I have to give it clothing. Therefore, I use words to give it clothing so that I can verbalize. This is what I'm talking about. I'll tell you a story. Or I'll say, glass of water. I have quantified something that was an abstract in here. It was a sensation in here that was quantified by my body. It needed something. It wanted something. So here you go. This is what I want. Blah, blah, blah. Quantify. Oh, okay. Here you go. They discovered that animals can count, but they don't use numbers. They recognize how many. That's what we do. We recognize how many, but we give it numbers. We give it symbols. The problem is that in giving it symbols, we have confused the symbols with the thing. And because it is organic, and because we are what we think we are, or we behave as if we are what we think we are, we think our interpretation, our symbols, which are the interpretation of the intangible, is correct. Therefore, what happens when we talk? We miss each other. We misunderstand each other. My boss. My boss. Let me get the door for you, my boss. My boss, let me get you. My boss. Oh, how are you feeling? My boss, my boss. And I'm looking, there's a black woman standing there going. There's some white people going. And there's some Indians. Yeah, fuck it. The interpretation of everyone about what all this means. My boss. Who is this guy? That's his boss. My boss. He's not saying, I am his boss. Okay? That's not what he's saying. The interpretation of the intangible and being expressed through a language that he is unfamiliar with. We are unfamiliar with the common space out here. The common space. Where's the common space? You look at the human body, or the human brain. It has two hemispheres, right? It has one hemisphere for sensing that organic paper, and the other hemisphere for giving it form, giving it a meaning that we can supposedly catch hold of. Supposedly. Where's the common space? The point where it connects one side to the other side. Now, let's look at a symbol, a word. That's a word. Except it is written not with alphabet. It is the same. It is the interpretation of the animal brain, Tao. Tao. What I've done for you is I've talked about things existing on a continuum. I've said to you, 0 plus 1 into infinity, 0 minus 1 into infinity. The plus 1, we could say is male. The minus 1, we can say is female. We're talking about the two sides of the energy. Wow. See, I used math in one. I used word, Tao, in another. And I used symbol, Tao, as another. All meaning the same energy. All meaning the same energy. So it is a matter of language, and language is a matter of the animal brain. Being a matter of the animal brain, it is biased toward the experience of the animal having it. I see I've successfully confused you.
Was it this?
Yeah, that's pretty much what it was. So, having the many interpretations, I have given you several different interpretations of the same thing so that you can see. Now, what have I done with that? What is the communication of that? I've said, if you stand to either side, you're going to be biased. If you stand to the right, you're biased toward the right. You stand to the left, you're biased toward the left. If you stand in the middle, you do this. But if you stand at the organic paper where it all appears, you stand here, you see Tao, you see it all. And you understand, go to some other words I give you. It is neither this nor that, but where it comes together, the two halves, neither, and has become something else. It's become complete. It's become a whole. It has become holy. Oh, new words. No, same words that I've said over time. Just giving you different ways of expression. So now what we have to see is that. Now, what does that tell me if I have truly seen it from the perspective of Tao? Let me listen. Let me understand. What I have to say, why is it I keep saying the same thing from this animal brain? Because the experiences of the animal brain are pretty much the same, or it appears to be pretty much the same. So I repeat. If I do this in an animal world of things that will eat you, I survive. If I see things with big teeth, stay away from those things. Unless you got a gun or something, stay away. I was looking at something the other day. They were going out looking for lions. Well, the lion was over there, and the lion saw him, and the lion did this thing. It looked like a yawn. Well, if you understand lion, he wasn't yawning. He was saying, see these? Better get back. Getting too close now. Let me yawn again. Let me show you again. See that? As they got back on the truck, the lion stopped yawning. So, with this experience before now, you had to repeat that so that you understood when the lion goes, get back. The animal brain making sense of the animal world, or the mineral world, or the world of flesh. Now we've learned it. Those who didn't learn it became lunch. And there's an old saying. If you got too close to the line, you didn't need to be reproducing yourself anyway. Just Kevin.
I was thinking about that very same thing this week, and it occurred to me that I'm driven by those repetitive things. It's kind of like a mouse in a thing. I react and I act and I do things in relationship, even in terms of the technique, in relationship to those things, and what you described as the animal mind.
Mm-hmm.
But what is the motivation of the paper?
The motivation of the paper is to just be itself, because it is, you see, it can only be itself. That is what you are. It can only be the paper. It's specialized. There is a piece of it that is specialized into the animal mind. It gave that for your protection and your ability to live in this. But it is to stay, to remain itself, to just be itself, to be the observer to the whole thing, to observe. That is its objective, to observe the behavior in this and understand the interactions. To have that experience. Okay. To expand because of its experience. But it in itself, its nature, is to observe, to not be involved in a direct manner. This is, the only way it can grow and the only way it can maintain itself. If you will notice, all of us, we get totally involved in our, quote, problems. If you are truly honest with yourself, there's something sitting there that goes, I don't care. It just doesn't care. You can't make it care because it doesn't care. Its job is to observe. That's its job. It is that part of the whole that is here to balance out the animal world. Because if you get totally controlled by the animal world, you will be nuts. You'll be nuts. If all that stuff kept. Tell you a story that military instructor when I was going through basic training told me. I'm young. He says, son, I can see you. He said, you know what? He said, one of these days, all those little vaginas running around in your head are going to have its menses at the same time, and you're going to have a brain hemorrhage and die. How do you know that? How do you know that's all I think about? Well, that's what would happen. All that stuff running around in there. You couldn't deal with it without the balance. You see what I'm saying? The balance keeps you sane.
When you say being itself, I'm not sure I know what you mean. In terms of using words, will you define intelligence?
No.
Can it be defined?
No.
Then this is the same question, isn't it? What does it mean by being itself?
It's not trying to be something else. I can answer your question, but not by defining it, but by defining what it's not. Because what it's not can be defined. It cannot be defined. It just is. It's just that. Let me say this. What we have done, and the dilemma in your brain right now, is you're giving equal weight to the two things. Yeah. They're not equally weighted. One is happening within the other. One is the creator of the other. The mad scientist has created the Frankenstein monster. But it is the mad scientist who is the power behind the monster. It is the Wizard of Oz who's behind the screen. It has given power to the great and powerful Oz, the brain, animal brain, the linear thoughts. Out of the plant is not the soil. The soil is the base. The plant comes out. Now the plant, it has soil in it, but you can take away the plant, but the soil remains. The plant can die and go back to the soil. The soil remains. It just is. It just is. If you want to define it as soil, okay. It does not define itself as soil. It just is. The plant seems to be separate from it, but is not. The thought seems to be separate from it, but is not. But the thought and that thing are not the same. So one gives rise to the other. What we have to understand is that we are that which gives rise to the animal brain or the animal mind. Once we begin to relate to that, and you say, well, what is this? You can't define it, because if you start defining it, you have lessened it. You can no longer reap the benefits of it, because you've limited it. You've defined it. I am an alcoholic. I am a smoker. I am a cook. I am a bottle washer. I am black. I am white. I am tall. I am short. I am. Once you have done that, you've lied to yourself and believed the lie. But when you sit and look, there's a part of you that's looking at it going, And it keeps you balanced, or kind of. It keeps you from going all the way off the other end because of the stuff. What is it? Don't know. Just am it. Stuff comes out of it. I have a question. An answer comes out of it. Whoa. You see what I'm saying?